Episode this week? I don't even know anymore.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of DC Alliance. Of course, I'm your host Clay, and with me, like always, finding new troubles with a new dog is Travis. Travis, how you doing tonight, man?
Pretty good, Clay. Like you said, or just at the tease there, I have a new dog, and he's upstairs weaning right now because we're downstairs podcasting, and my girlfriend's at volleyball. So I guess he can't be perfect. I thought he might be the perfect dog, but he loves attention, so I'm okay with that
You
because we got
you
some fun
saw you
DC.
saw Flynn right before we started recording. Dogs, I love them to death. I love Flynn to death. But you saw him. He just jumped right in my lap and just started to sniff this microphone. He loves it in here. He knows this is my workspace and he wants to be in here all the freaking time. But the only way for me to really like get him out is when I said to go get a treat, what he does is he'll wait in his crate and I drop pieces of a treat all around the apartment,
And
and
he'll go find them.
he has to go hunt for it.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool.
so like it's what the vet has told me and what dog training has told me is that like it stimulates the brain if you like have them uh sniff uh for like more than 30 minutes or so. So if you hide it good enough, he's going to be trying to sniff that last piece or whatever. It's actually going to be really, really good. And actually, this goes into one of the topics, one of our questions, actually. We will get to it eventually. So now I see you in there in the comment section. We will get to it, I promise. Donovan says, I thought a Gotham Knights CW show was happening. What the hell is going on?
It's like
Well,
Oprah with the Gotham Knights right now,
well
Donovan. You
let's
get a
actually,
show. You get a movie.
Donovan, we're going to jump right into that discussion right after we do our network plugs. So, of course, DC Alliance is a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. What that means is that we are a part of a big podcasting family. 8 shows across 7 days a week on a weekly and bi-weekly status. Of course, schedule, status, same thing. On our bi-weekly schedule, we have a slice of film with Katie, Mark, and Sarah. They're going to be coming back in April, and they're going to have a get to know the host type of episode to start off with, and then they're going to start reviewing movies afterward. Of course, you have World's Finest True Believers and Ranger Alliance on Mondays. Then you have, of course, a walk through the multiverse on Saturdays. Our weekly schedules shows is DC Alliance Superhero Discussions, Star Wars Alliance, and Marvel Alliance. DC, Star Wars, and Marvel all have their own solo feed. So if you would like to listen to those separately, you can always do so. And then, of course, we are a ad-supported network as well as a listener-supported network. You can easily donate $1 a month to say thank you, or you can give $5 a month to give exclusive access to a plethora of shows this year. We have been doing a shit ton of Patreon content. April is coming up, which means that the discussion with myself, Joe, and Jake on modernizing the classic Mighty Morphin Power Ranger costumes is going to be coming up pretty soon. So that is going to be a very fun discussion. I know that you are doing top fives, Travis, and then of course,
I might
Brent.
have to, depending on when you're recording that, I might have to get in on that discussion.
Well, the way I pitched it to Jake and to Joe is as much as people like to dog on the TV movie of like Captain America and Spider-Man back in the 70s, look what it's evolved to in the MCU. Like that costume compared to what it is, if you look at it, Super Sentai started in the 70s and 80s, so it's been around the exact same amount of time as like the same kind of latex spandex of Captain America and Spider-Man, and look what they're using now. It can be done, and I think it's a really cool discussion. I want to kind of see what we can come up with.
You're looking
But
at the guy who enjoyed 2017 Power Rangers costumes. Like I like those. I didn't hate those. So but I'm also big for nostalgia. So I would love to,
Joe is
like,
actually in the chat going a
yeah.
little meta here. He's like, we actually have to kind of schedule that sooner rather than later. I got a con to go through in April. So let's go ahead and start doing that, Joe. I'll hit you and Jake up to see when we can schedule that. Of course, like I said, with all the Patreon content, $5 gives you that exclusive access as well as ad-free shows. To also get an ad-free show, you can always be here live every Monday at, well, this one's a little early, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we are usually live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Monday. Of course, we will have ads in this show. Otherwise, we will warn you. We don't choose these ads. We don't choose how many times they repeat themselves, if they do, and we don't choose the volume. So we will go ahead and warn you so you can turn that down just a little bit. And then, of course, everything will be fine and dandy. So, with that, let's go ahead and go down the list of what we made here in the show notes, because the Gotham Knight story is actually going to be second on the list. First one up, though, is the, well, second on the list as far as like the HBO Max content movie and all that stuff. First thing we're going to talk about is the box office updates. Now, Travis, what do you got for me? How well is the Batman still doing?
Doing well, Clay, despite China closing a third of its. I think it either closed a third of its theaters or a third of its theaters are open. One of those two. But besides that, it's still doing well. It crossed 600 million. There was an update a little while ago from Good Hits Panda. We got close to that from Luis Fernando. He said it was 598.1. So it's a beating Iron Man's 585, which I find that hilarious. Put in when that movie came out in 2008. But
Yeah.
it's going great. It's about to cross 600 million globally. So 800 to 850 is now the safe projections that we're making, which I think you said 750. I said 8 when we were giving our.
Yeah, is what, that's the projection we got. It looks like it could end anywhere between 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And like I said, the success of any of these movies is good for every single studio that is within this genre. That means that we will continue to get superhero films throughout. So
Yeah.
I may not have liked the movie, but it is going to do great for the genre.
Also nice
Uh,
to see that with a pandemic as well, and plus, this is the first. I think this is the first really successful movie. I think besides Disney, like besides something Disney's put out in quite a while. I know
yeah.
like that Sonic and all that. I'm just talking about superhero style that isn't from Disney. So pretty cool about that. Just it's nice to see us getting out of the pandemic and getting like I was shocked going to the grocery store the last couple days. We lifted the mandates,
Yeah.
and the first couple days it was a scatter one or two people weren't wearing masks. Now, Clay, it's a scatter one or two people are wearing masks. It's free for all.
Yeah, it's still a little weird here. I will still wear a mask in certain places. Um if I'm comfortable, like anywhere that's like close to my apartment, I know very well, and so I'm like, okay, if I'm going in there quick, do whatever. But if there's an off day that I'm just not feeling it, I will always put a mask on. I went ahead and bought some K95 masks. I have
Oh, nice.
some right next to my door when I leave the apartment. I have some in my car in case I forget the ones from home. Like I
You got
was
yourself
able to,
covered.
I got myself covered, man. And then especially now, like I have an eye exam tomorrow. They require that everybody wears masks. So it's like, okay, like even if I don't wear a mask everywhere else, there is specific places that you do still have to like mandated, hey, we're going to put this mandate here that you have to wear a mask,
If you can
which
get a
is
box,
nice.
if you can get a box too, it's nice just to have them in case this comes around again. Because let's not try and pretend, listeners, that boxes of masks weren't going for like hundreds of dollars on eBay.
Jesus
Because they,
Christ.
like toilet paper was the thing here that went like. I
Oh
think
no,
people,
I
oh my god, we're not going to be
all
able to
the
wipe our
above.
bum. We're not going to be able to wipe our bums. This is like it's the end of the apocalypse here. I couldn't believe
Why you invest in a bidet.
it. There you go.
I mean, I won't be able to, I mean, I guess I could invest one in the apartment, but I just feel like that's a waste.
No,
But
that's gone too far. I think.
let's go ahead and move towards our bigger topics of tonight. Of course, that being a lot of DCEU slash like just movie news because, like Donovan said, I thought there was a Gotham Knights show. Well, we did hear something about a movie, and we will talk about it right after this because I think some of the funniest and best news for me is the first topic we're going to be talking about. Blue Beetle has had several castings come up. We have George Lopez, Adriana Barraza. Let's see here. Let me see if I can pronounce this right. It's been a while since I've used my accent. Elpida Correal
Thank you for taking the lead on this, by the way.
and Damien Alcazar have joined the cast of Blue Beetle, DC Films and Warner Brothers' first superhero movie starring a Latino character. Of course, Sholo. I always forget the last name. It's Mariana. No, that's not it.
I think that's close. It's Mariduena.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the little tilde on the end. Is set to star, of course, in the role of Jaime Reyes. So George Lopez is set to play the role of his uncle. I saw George Lopez and I was like, is he going to be playing the father? That's going to be a little weird. I don't know how I feel about it. But I love George Lopez. Now, I will say this. George has had a lot of controversial things said about him in the past few years. A lot of people just don't understand his comedy. There's a lot of off the cuff things he says. I know him as part of the Latin Kings of Comedy. I grew up with him as a big comedian. Brent says, I'll listen tomorrow to the rest, watching Jessica Jones, but I just want to say, of course, Clay is rocking Spider-Man. I will say, I think it's become a thing because I was wearing a DC shirt today, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to put this on just for the YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and just wear this.
Hi, Brent.
And then Brent says, man likes Marvel more than I do. I don't know about that, Brent. I can't rewatch the Marvel shows as much as you do. But George Lopez is playing the role of Uncle Rudy. Barraza is playing Nana. Corrillo is playing that is Roquillo. And Alcazar is playing Alberto. The four round out to the rest of the Reyes family, which includes Belisa Escobedo, who plays Melargo. And of course, we have the link here. Of course, guys, if you want to check it out yourselves, it was via the Wrap that broke this story. Like I said, I'm very excited about George Lopez being a part of this film because if people don't know who Blue Beetle is, but they do know that it's a Latin superhero, how are you going to get that Latin community in those seats? You bring in somebody big, Antonio Banderas, you get Sam Hayek, you get, of course, somebody like George Lopez. And if this is any indication, hopefully, because I will say this, George Lopez has been in some dramas. He can act. Like he's not all about just being funny all the damn time. But he can be. I hope this is a happy medium. I hope that we can get some of that like good family drama, like serious moments, but I also want to laugh my ass off because it's George Lopez, So I am okay on whatever direction they take this, but I am super excited to see this cast really blowing up.
Clay, I'm right there with you. I really enjoy George Lopez, honestly. I did enjoy his talk show as well. It sucks that once they brought Conan in, that he was really good guy with that too. Very like flexible with that. He ended up losing his show eventually, like because of the time slot. But he's very funny. I've seen it in some shows. He was in a DC animated project too. I'm not sure which one right now. It was one of the New 52, I think. just like a funny thing. I really think he can be like the uncle that is funny, but can get serious and give him some wisdom at a point when
Yeah.
he might need it. I really think he can play it, like you said, he can do dramatic roles. And what really cool about the whole thing was just to hear the director talk about it and like just wanting to have Latin community represented like that, but also, like you said, bring in a big star like George Lopez that will bring in other people, and he's also blazed that trail for the uh, Cobra Kai guy who's playing Blue Beetle. He George Lopez helped blaze that trail for him, so it's just nice to see him get a little reward, and also people like you said will identify. Oh, George Lopez, I'll go check this out anyway, and you'll get some people like that. I think it's a good casting too. I'm interested to see what they do with the whole family aspect of this because it's obviously going to play big for him. I just wonder how much time they'll get, and I just hope they nail it because I think they will just from hearing the director and what he's thinking about it. So,
Charlie is saying George Lopez Black Beetle. Of course, if people don't know, currently in comics, the comic book Blue and Gold with Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, and Booster Gold, they are telling a story right now with Black Beetle. So very, very cool there. Overall, super excited about this. But let's go on to some of, like we said, Donovan's question and everything else. I have the article up right here. Gotham Knights, the movie. So, what is this all about? I was questioning this as well. What in the hell is going on? Well, we heard rumors last year, maybe even the tail end of 2020, that a Red Hood movie could possibly be in the works in HBO Max. We also have heard maybe there might be a Deathstroke movie working in the works at HBO Max. And then, of course, Batgirl is filming and also like starting its post production. So it's like, okay, what is going on? Well, Gotham Knights seems to be something that could possibly be set in the DCEU because of Batgirl. Batgirl is the one that has taken the foothold of like, hey, I'm going to start here. Even though, like we said, Red Hood was rumored, Deathstroke was rumored. Well, it only makes sense if Batgirl is in the DCEU and she is in another movie. That movie must be in the DCEU, correct?
oh yeah,
That's how my knowledge works. So I don't know about anybody else. I would assume that would be the same thing. Well, this movie would take place with a let's see here, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Red Hood. The movie will start with the death of a prominent Batman villain, and the team has to figure out who killed the villain. With the primary villain isn't known. Deathstroke will act as an enforcer and have a few run-ins with the team as they investigate the mystery of the villain's death. So, it says right here, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood. We have had discussions about Nightwing before because we still think that Dylan O'Brien is possibly still the front runner to get that role in Batgirl and possibly other movies within the DCEU. We
I'm
also
sorry,
know
Joe made me laugh.
what is he saying? What is he saying?
Hold on.
Death of the Condiment King. I mean, he's a prominent Batman villain, I
Really
guess.
stretching prominence.
Maybe, I don't know. So I want to ask you, how do you feel? Because if we get Nightwing in Batgirl, I genuinely feel that a um, a flashback or two could easily explain who Nightwing is, that he was a Robin before, and everything else. Can you do that twice with a Red Hood? Can you just throw away, oh yeah, this is a flashback here, I was Robin, now I'm Red Hood? Like, because my thing is, this is part of the discussion that I wanted to have with you. we as comic book fans, we as DC fans, Marvel fans, even, we can know about a character, see it on screen, and we know all about this. I know that the Batman kind of tested the waters of like, oh, he's in year 2. They don't need to explain anything. I felt like they probably should have explained some things within that world, but it still worked, right? Can you do the same thing with the Robins? Can you sidestep the origin story for the general audience and just say, hey, these are other heroes that Batman once trained?
You know what, Clay? I'm going to give you my thoughts after we take our first ad break.
You're right. This can actually take a while. So let's go ahead and jump into the ad break right now. Of course, guys, we do not choose these ads. We don't choose how many times they repeat themselves if they do. And we don't. Wait, did I already see the volume? I did. Anyway, we'll be right back. And we are back. So, what do you think?
I think it can be done. I think that the popularity of the video game will go a long way to helping some general audience people know who it is. Not only just people who play the game, but people watch people playing games. Don't even get me started on that. I don't know how that consumes time. If you do that, sorry, more power to you. But I don't understand that. But that's a way to prop them up. I feel like it's hard, Clay, to do that with both Robins. Like
Because
it,
here's another big thing when it comes to the stories of Nightwing and Red Hood. Yes, they were both Robin, but they had completely different upbringings. Jason died. Like, can you just throw that line away? Oh, I was Robin, I died, now I'm Red Hood. Like, how does it all work? How and this actually goes into a question that Travis Snell had on our post this evening or this morning. He says here, uh, he says this is a two-parter question. First, if we got a Red Hood film to set this up, talking about Gotham Knights, would it be primarily from Jason's point of view, alluding or showing a few flashbacks from his time with Bruce, or would it be a two-hander with Keaton and a younger actor doing the adaptation, likely some de-aging and whatnot? He also says, also, how would they handle his death? Would they choose a new villain considering Keaton's Joker is dead? Or would they shift to another villain? Or would they do some multiverse mumbo jumbo to resurrect Jack's Joker, make a new actor Joker, etc.? So your thoughts first, and then I will share mine.
there's a lot to unpack here. First of all,
Mhm.
there's a
Yeah.
couple questions. Like I said, I feel like you need to know what you're doing with Nightwing, and your plans with Keaton overall. How long is he staying? I feel like it's hard to, if you're going to do Nightwing and a Red Hood. Essentially, you're going to do the same thing where you like give us a fast forward of their history before they became Nightwing and became Red Hood. Are you going to tell us their Robin story into that for both of them? Like you said, they both have very different, not only Robin stories but backstories. So I don't know how you do it and just show like a fat flash forward. I think the way Snell's doing it here, I think that could be done, especially if you have him as Red Hood, but like stuff jogging his memory going along as he goes along through this adventure. Maybe he's not, maybe he doesn't have his memories 100%. Maybe you could do something along those lines. I think it's, I would probably do Keaton. I would do the flashbacks, a couple flashbacks of Keaton and a younger person as Robin too. Like you could do the similar flashbacks that you see in, like Joe saying there, the Red Hood movie.
So Red Hood, he says, adapt Red Hood, Lost Days mini. I will say this is probably one of my favorite Red Hood stories. It is basically the days after he is resurrected. and kind of into the months, and like finding out that because the big revelation of the story of Under the Red Hood is Joker's still alive. What the hell, Bruce? Like, why didn't you kill him after he killed me? Spoilers, I guess. And this is him kind of finding out, like, okay, I'm alive, I'm going to be doing all this other stuff, and then he finds out Joker is still alive. That is a very interesting story, which I would be okay with seeing adapted.
Same as the Red Hood story, Under the Red Hood. I would be the same thing, although the people that criticize Batman for killing would probably like orgasm to death when he says that speech about not killing to Red Hood.
Well, and here's kind of another conversation that I am seeing a lot on Twitter lately, because it's also had like a lot of talk with Superman, people still talking about it with the Batman and Batman in general. Do we need to see direct adaptations of stories in movies, or can you, like, because this also brings up the conversation of like having your own story and kind of, you know same thing of how this Gotham Knights would be. You're just throwing characters in there and making your own story. The only problem with that is you miss out on a great story of how Batman lost. When he lost Jason Todd as Robin, that fundamentally changed him as a character. And I think that's a very important part of his story, to eventually get that of a Tim Drake, and how he then takes on Damian and all of that, because Damian again becomes like a kind of shithead type of character that is very reminiscent of that of a Jason Todd when he first is introduced. Snell says, I die seeing Keaton tried to give the no kill rule. Of course he would. Of course Snell
Completely
would.
disregard the dynamite I gave that clown that one time, among
So
other
so
things.
so here's my answer to everything that Snell was asking. First, the big question: how are they going to figure everything out post Flash? Here's the thing: I think 89 and Returns are going to be semi-glossed,
Ooh.
and every moment that Keaton had killed, they're gonna act like it never happened. They're gonna act as though this Batman has never killed before.
The thing that I won't like about that is that's going out of your way to appease another vocal minority that's screaming about something as well.
It
I
is, but it is the loudest.
Oh yeah, and Clay,
Every
to your
every week,
adaptation
every week we see a conversation about Batman killing.
to your adaptation point, I think that they need to be upfront with the audience. Like you can't do, for example, I'm going to give you two examples from the CW. You don't tell people and build for people 4 months in between, 5 months in between your shows. We're doing Flashpoint. Holy crap, we're doing Flashpoint. Like we're doing Flashpoint, guys. Like the greatest Flashpoint. We're doing it. Like wouldn't stop having Grant Gustin talk about it. The executive producers, even like Iris, the actress for Iris, and then we're talking about it. We're doing Flashpoint. Very excited. You give us for one episode, and then you go on thinking it's Supergirl versus the Elite. Oh, we're adapting Superman versus the Elite. Oh, be upfront. Say you're taking some stuff from it. Just say you're paying homage to it. Don't
Well,
say that you're flat
Muschietti
out.
has said before that this is a completely new take on the story of Flashpoint.
Perfect. That's all I want to see here, right? That's all I need to hear.
But Flashpoint is still Flashpoint. So again, they're going to reboot. They're going to change things so that way it fits their narrative in the way they're going to be telling stories from here on out. But also, they're going to want to say, okay, what's the one thing people hated about Ben Affleck's Batman? The one DCEU Batman that we got. Oh, he killed people. Okay. Well, we're going to bring Keaton, but he's never killed anybody before. Okay. They're going to put that in there. It's just going to happen. Like, it's
You're
unfortunate,
right. You're probably
but it's
right.
going to happen.
I
It's
will
going to
hold
happen.
judgment until I see the Flash, but I know that Keaton's going to be Batman. I'm just talking about the whole like
Now,
glossing
the
over his
idea,
killing parts because the worst thing is you're robbing the world of that smiling GIF that he does after he gives the dynamite to the clown. That goes around on Twitter all the time for me of his Batman with a big smile.
Joe says maybe Keaton's Batman isn't from the
Ooh,
89 universe. Maybe he's from a similar
that's a good
universe.
point, Joe. That's a good point.
Now, to answer some of Snell's other questions here, are they going to bring back Jack's Joker? I don't think so. As much because, I mean, he freaking threw a fit when Heath Ledger was named Joker back in 2008. Like, and I mean, surprisingly, I didn't hear him throw a fit when Jared Leto was casted or when Joaquin Phoenix was casted. I think he's long done being the Joker. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
I think
I think he
that
gets
you,
money for every one of those movies anyway, Clay, a percentage or two. So I don't think he really complains.
I think what you do is I think that you throw in a new actor. Um, Again, you can play around with time because of Flashpoint. You can make this new Joker a younger Joker to
Could you
make it
have it?
fit. Oh, go ahead.
Could you have it for Joe, like what Joe's saying, from a Batman from different Earth, like this Keaton, but from not from the Earth that we saw from Returns and the first Batman,
89, yeah.
and have a Joker like I'll just throw you out there for a cool DC Easter egg. I know legacy casting, Mark Hamill. Do you think he could do it, or is that taken away?
I
Because his voice might distract. I feel like his voice may distract.
I don't think Keaton. I mean, I technically Mark Hamill played a version of the Joker in CW's The Flash, uh, but I don't think that would do. I
Yeah,
don't.
I was just curious.
I think it would be a little too distracting, a little too meta. I think you just throw in a new actor because the DCEU hopefully will move on past Keaton and everything that ties him to DC films. So I think that's done that way. As far as Red Hood, I want to see that story. I want to see Death in the Family, whether it be directly with Joker or if it is with somebody else. Like, I know people are going to complain. That's what they do. But if you hit the big story beats, which in that case, I kind of feel like it has to be Joker, like you get that story. Because again, Nightwing, Nightwing, Red Hood, Tim Drake, Damian, they're all very, very different. And so just throwing these characters out there, it's like, okay, like, yes, people can just like forget the facts and just say, hey, these are heroes. They're all working together to, fight the bad guy. But you can only get so far with that. You're going to have to touch up on these characters' history, their relationships, and things like that. I think it's very important to have that backstory. So I would love to see a story that is possibly only in Red Hood standing. Like you see the shadow of the Batman, you see the moments of like him trying to take the wheels off the Batmobile and all of that. But I don't want to see it as a Batman story because then you take away from Jason and Red Hood.
I got one for you now. How about this for an idea for the Red Hood side anyway? Show him like Joe says, show him after it happens and play with that for him for a couple months, like showing him after the pit and do a Red Hood and the Outlaws and have James Gunn run that because I think he's really good with those flawed characters.
Kind of out there characters.
To
I have
turn them
said
into
I've told people that I would not be completely turned off with the idea of James Gunn handling a Red Hood. I personally, and I've said this before, I personally think James Gunn is going to head Deathstroke, but we'll see.
I'd love to
Uh,
see Red Hood and the Outlaws because I love the book. Like the book was fantastic, the one that I read, and I feel like if you captured any like like Bizarro, that book made me love Bizarro as well, and I think that Gunn can do that with multiple characters. But again, yeah, who's Bizarro going to look like? So I can't really like I'm asking for Red Hood and the Outlaws show, and what are you gonna have him just like the whole CGI like a black and white? So yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I would love to see that at some point, like Red Hood and the Outlaws. I think
But overall,
good concept.
I think a Gotham Knights movie can work. The only way it works, though, the Gotham Knights TV show has to go.
I don't think you have very.
No,
I
but
don't. I don't.
but here's the
Eschew it.
reason why. Here's the reason why. You talk about it all the time. Marketing. You watch a TV show called The Gotham Knights. You have all of these new characters because they are introducing new characters into that show. And then you're like, oh, a Gotham Knights movie is coming out, and you see a completely different cast of characters. Nobody's going to understand anything. They're going to think that it's connected and all of this. It's not going to work. You
I
have to get rid of
will.
one, and this Gotham Knights movie sounds better out of the two.
I will agree with you on that. I know there are exceptions to the rules, listeners. So don't, while you're screaming out the Flash TV show at me, um, I'm just about to bring that up because the first two seasons were uh, talked about just like most of the top tier comic books are talked about now. Like that was all over social media. Everyone was loving the first two seasons. So, and I know that they were making Flash and DCU at the same time. But honestly, I feel like that helped some listeners the first two seasons of that, seeing and go back in time and all that for the final. But I don't think you're getting that very often. Like you're getting more of a, oh, this sucked. I saw a terrible show with that. I'm not checking that out. Then I saw this awesome show. I'm going to check out this movie. That don't happen very often. So
Yeah.
I'm in your camp. I don't think you have to worry because I don't see this. If they're going to do the movie, I don't see this show lasting to getting past the pilot. If it does get to that, if it gets ordered for a pilot, I don't know
Yeah.
if it has yet or not for sure. I know that there's been casting news, but I don't even know if it's casting news, more so hearing people that are in the plot or in the show.
I think there is a casting because
Okay.
we did get a Carrie Kelly already.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm trying to
and
pay that the least amount of attention possible, for being honest with you. That's
I
CW
honestly
show.
think that it's gotten a pilot, but I don't think it's gotten a season yet. So we'll see. Uh, but that is Gotham Knights. I am very excited to see if this moves forward. Of course, seeing if there is going to be a new Deathstroke. I know that Joe Manganiello has kind of like sort of like said, hey, I still want to do it, teasing more things, throwing stuff out there. And of course, actors need jobs. They want the next project. So him being, like he is and teasing these things is just him saying, hey, I'm available. Let's make this work. So we will see.
I
Now,
enjoy actors that are actually like passionate and want to do like he's not do like what's the guy's name that campaigned for be Green Lantern all the time over.
oh,
He's doing it because he wants work, whereas Joe Manganiello can be in other things and star in other things, but he's really passionate about this character and wants. Obviously, I know he thinks this
yeah,
could be a big like box office like hero for him too. Let's not pretend that. But
yeah.
when you hear him talk about what he did with Garrett Evans in terms of talking and planning for the movie they were going to do, $60 million like kind of low budgeted film, you can tell he was super passionate about it, and I like to hear that. It sucks that he can't do it, but like you said, Clay, maybe
I
he'll be
will say
used
I
by somebody else.
wasn't. Did you see the concept art for that?
Didn't like that either. I was right there with you. I thought that,
I didn't.
but they
It
used the
made
Justice League
sense.
stuff. I feel like if you unless you're going in the past, I feel like that might have been before he even shot the little screener thing that we got the behind the
See,
scenes.
I don't think so. I think all of that planning was after, because the only reason why I say that is from what we were told, what the Batman was supposed to be with Ben Affleck, it was very action heavy.
Yeah,
The stuff that he was wearing for the screener and for the post credit scene and whatever,
yeah, I
that
get you.
looked really good, but it wasn't great looking for mobility.
Yeah,
The suit that you see in concept art for the Batman, that looks like, oh, you would be able to move in that.
it looks
So
more
I
like
think that's
Titans than
more
it
of it.
does like the.
Yeah.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. That too.
exactly.
Got it, yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to more HBO Max news, that being the Harley Quinn spin-off show with Kite Man. Now, before we do this, one other piece of news with Harley Quinn, we talked about James Gunn already, But it has been confirmed in season 3, James Gunn is going to be playing himself in Harley Quinn's animated series. What do you think about that?
Love it. I love everything about Harley Quinn's show for the first 2 seasons. I love how they make fun of everything DC. There's gonna be a
I
Batman and
think
Catwoman fucking joke in this.
I
Sorry,
think
beep.
I think that there is going to be whatever episode it's in. I think that Harley Quinn is going to try to get a job as an actress, and they're going to do like a Harley Quinn show, and James Gunn
Oh,
is going to be
double
directing.
meta, like double.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that. I like
I
that.
think that's what's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure James Gunn is going to die. Like I am
Oh yeah.
pretty sure he's going to die in that show or in that episode. But the bigger news, the thing that everybody was talking about that day, Kite Man is getting his own spin-off. And the way it is being described as is basically Cheers with the DC villains as Kite Man being the headliner, the spotlight man. This is very interesting. Kite Man, hell yeah. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Because yes, he was a staple in season 2. I think they made him a very lovable character in the Harley Quinn show. He's going to have a lot of heartbreak after being left at the altar uh, from with Ivy. So I think there's a lot of stuff there for Kite Man, but I think this is genuinely HBO Max's way of saying, "Oh, do you know all those scenes inside the Legion of Doom? This is how we can make an entire show about that." So I think it'll be okay.
You know what it reminds me of, Clay? I don't know if you've ever saw the How It Should Have Ended YouTube
Yes.
series. There's
Mhm.
a bar that all the villains go to and drink. There's a couple
Yes.
episodes about
Uh-huh.
that. Batman, I think, infiltrates the bar and fights all the villains at one point. Um, but I think it could be like that, where he could be just serving the people. I feel like he's going to be working the bar as well as owning it. And there's going to be a lot of problems. I could see Bane destroying stuff and Kite Man talking about like how much this all cost him and insurance. There's going to be jokes about all that stuff. I feel like it could be good. I enjoy Kite Man, like you said. Now I am worried because listeners, I don't know how many of you out there have watched as many bad animated shows as I have, as well as good ones. I was telling Clay earlier, like I'm afraid this could be more in the line of MODOK than it is Harley Quinn, where MODOK was just so average. Like there were funny moments, but it wasn't enough. It just became a chore to watch the show. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not like that. But if you bring in those villains like Bane, I thought Bane was hilarious. So if you're giving me more of them, because they're not such a prominent feature in the Harley Quinn show, they make appearances and they're funny. So if you're giving me a show with all these funny characters, I think it can work. I don't know how long it can work, if it can go seasons or not, but I will be checking it out. It's animation and it's DC, but uh, and I watch Harley Quinn, sorry, and it's at my target age group. I got to put that in there in case
Yeah.
we get to the questions in a little bit. But yeah, I think it can be good, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I won't put any expectations on it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think I'm going to like it. And recently, as far as you know, besides that other stupid DC show that's on HBO Max, I've liked almost everything.
Yeah.
So, especially with the established world of Harley Quinn, I think I will enjoy it for sure.
I have one other thing though about this too, which is very frustrating to me. So frustrating. So I'm just going to say just once, and I probably won't talk about it again until um, we either ever get a solution or resolution to this or not. But the fact that what you see Disney Plus reviving and giving us more X-Men the animated series, I just don't know how we haven't gotten more Justice League Unlimited, like a universally praised animated show.
Well,
It's just shocking. Just another season of it, like just a you have
and we know the cast is interested.
you have Wonder Woman campaigns all the time for it thrown out there.
Susan
Susan
Eisberg has
Eisenberg, yeah.
has always said it. The cast has gotten together many times to do like little read-alongs and stuff. They said that they're interested. Rosenbaum has said it on his podcast that he's interested. Uh, like we said, Susan has been on the Word Balloon podcast and said, "Hey, we want to do it." I don't know, man.
Like, no
Now,
offense to Tom
I will
Welling,
say,
no offense to Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum for your Smallville animated stuff, but I'm sorry, you can throw that in trash and light the trash can on fire if I can get Justice League Unlimited instead of that, because I just love it. You
well,
love it.
there was also what was it? It was the Justice League versus the Fatal Five. I
Yeah.
don't think that movie did very good.
It was
So,
okay, but it went backwards in time, Clay, because like when you went to Justice League Unlimited, you expanded the whole roster and whole lineup that the core 7 were not your super important things here, and they focused
and
on the
it
core 3 more than
they did, of course,
Superman,
Nolan
Wonder
North.
Woman.
Nolan. Right? Was it Nolan or was it
No,
shoot, who
George
did
Newbern, I think.
George? Yeah.
Yeah,
It was George, Susan, and
Conroy,
of
yeah.
course Conroy. Uh and that was a big, letdown for me. So I do think because of them not doing so well in that, the
Could be
studio
right.
probably said, maybe Unlimited is not really what we want right now.
Could
So,
be right.
but we will see. We will see how, animation has evolved a lot and the crave for it has definitely gone up.
It,
So I'm sure we could possibly get something in the future.
if Disney's successful with their Marvel bringing back X-Men the animated series, DC will definitely copy that, and I probably will get my wish in. So yeah, I'll just wait for that point.
But let's go ahead and do a second ad break here before we talk about our last two stories of the night. They're going to go pretty quickly, and then we will get to the rest of our listener questions. So let's go ahead and take that ad break, and we will be right back. And we are back. So this next story I'm not very excited about just because DC Comics has announced the Batman movie Riddler prequel comic is in the works, and I'm so glad that you put the second part
Well, it really
of this
pissed me
piece of
off,
news.
Clay. So if you want
So
to tee me up for this, please.
so it has been announced that a new prequel for the Batman titled Riddler Year One is going to be coming out in June, I believe. The story will be released in October as a 6-issue limited series, and they announced it as being written by Paul Dano. Period.
That's it. That's it.
Why is that a problem?
DC Comics. DC Comics did that. Not DC Entertainment, not DC Movies, not Warner Brothers. DC Comics. Why would you not give the artist credit as well? Why would you not allow the artist? At the very least, I saw so many people that don't read comics tweeting this out saying, "I'm going to check this out." Why not pump the artist? Maybe you'll say, "Oh, if he's working with Paul Dano on this, maybe I should go check out some of his other stuff just to get me prepared."
So here's something also. Brad Walker, one of my favorite artists, went ahead and did a pretty big thread about this after I believe it was
Before it was changed, though. Before it was
Well,
changed,
it was before it was changed, but Brian Hitch had made a comment. They were having a discussion, and then he quote tweeted, and he went on a 17 tweet thread. Very, very important. Go read that thread. Very, very important as far as the information on how the industry is working right now when it comes to artists in the big two industry. I always credit the artists whenever I'm talking about them in other podcasts. It's very important because I think that it's half the story, if not more than
100%.
that. Because, one thing that Brad said in his thread, he's like, for those people who say, "Oh, I only read this for the story," bullshit.
Oh,
Bullshit.
100%
It's bullshit. Do you know why? It's just like when you find a girl out on the town or even on a dating profile, you're not saying, "Oh, she has a great personality." No, you're looking at her. You're looking at her. It is the first thing I've always told my wife. Like it's the worst thing that a person could say. But like she what did she say when we first met? She was like, "Oh, but what if I didn't look great?" I was like, "Then I probably wouldn't have talked to you." And she's like, "Well, that's kind of shallow." I was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't want to wake up to a werewolf. I'm not gonna wake up to it's as shallow and as canceled as I may be after this. Looks are the first thing you legitimately look at. It's the first thing you see before
Clay,
you read anything.
if they wanted to go that route, they should have had it uh,
Novel.
in a binder slash novels with nothing, just Riddler Year One, Paul Dano, written by Paul Dano. That's it. If you're going to, because spoiler, the artist's pictures are going to be on the cover. It's going to be what draws people in. The
Yes.
first
And
book is going to be because
the
of that.
artist is Stephen
Subic.
Subic is the way
Yeah.
you pronounce it. Uh, and you're right. DC didn't announce them. It took Twitter by storm to finally get them to be like, okay, it is now written and drawn by this artist. And I will say this, the reason why I'm not excited for this is because it's written by Paul Dano. And the reason why I say that is just last year, I read a story in the I think it was like Gotham Villains Anniversary 100-page giant from DC Comics. The very first story was written by Danny DeVito, drawn by Dan Mora. Beautiful art. Dan Mora is probably one of the greatest artists out there right now. That story was dog shit. It was horrible. It
I'm
made
going to
no
say,
effing.
one second, Clay. I'm going to give a little more credit for Paul Dano's ability to tell a story than the guy who was in Twins and in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for
Oh no,
like
no,
plot
no! You can't do
points.
that. You can't. You no, no, no. Somebody's acting abilities versus their writing abilities are two very different things. So Paul Dano may be able to act like crazy and people love him, but he may be a dog shit writer.
Or he
So
may be really good.
I'm not going to read the comic. Like I'm already saying it. I'm not
So,
going to.
how many recommendations are going to have to come your way for you to actually check it out? If some people say like it's actually a well-written book, like how many? You need a couple actual people that you trust their opinions.
Uh,
Like if
I
a couple people recommend it, will you
see.
check it
No,
out?
no, because
Okay,
there are quite a few podcasters that review comics
okay,
that have told me that there's some books out there that are written very very nicely, and I still won't read them just
okay.
because I just don't want to. And I've
Yep.
already said it, like, hey, I don't want to read this book, so I'm not going to.
I understand that even because of how you enjoyed the Batman too, like your stance on that. I can understand not wanting to hear about Riddler Year One, really, if I'm you, and even me. I'm not sure because of Paul Dano. I'm not sure people are going to it because of that Paul Dano. I'm the exact opposite. I am unsure because of Paul Dano. I think it's cool that he likes the character and WB's letting him do this, so maybe other people get a chance down the line. Because I don't think having comics and movies intertwined are a bad thing for comics, because I think it may boost some sales for comics, get people going to the medium that wouldn't actually go there. But I'm not saying what I've seen a lot on Twitter, which is this book is going to be amazing. Paul Dano's written it. I've never read one thing Paul Dano's written, so I can't say that with a straight face without sounding like an ass. I can you can be excited in that, but I can't put any expectations on it unless you've read something that he's written before. I think
Yeah,
this is more for if you're a fan of the art, like you said. If you're a fan of Subiac, then maybe you'll go there. You'll go for that, and then the writing might be okay. But the art really pissed me off at the story, and what I wanted to put it in for was because they actually put in written by Paul Dano, and like you said, he hasn't done any writing. Like, why wouldn't you, at the very least, put the artist in to try to give a little bit of credibility to Dano? But no,
yeah.
they don't think that way. They just say, big name, put it there. Press release, bam.
Exactly. Exactly. But that is basically it for that. Thankfully, we, finally got that the artist is out there on that book. But our last topic of tonight, before we get into our listener questions, of course, is this news? Not really, but it was the talk of the town for a while that day. The 1 year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League shows an HD photo of the finished production on the Jon Stewart photo. Of course, we got this photo before, very fuzzy on Zack Snyder's phone. He was showing it off. We didn't even get an official release of even like the not finished photo. He just always had it on his phone, showing it up to the camera whenever he was in interviews and stuff. But now we see it here, completely finished. It looks nice for sure. I don't have his Twitter account up. I don't remember
Wayne
what
T.
he had.
Carr. Wayne T. Carr is his name.
Yeah. Wayne, let's see if I even follow him.
I don't
Wayne,
think I do.
let's see here. The very first one says Wayne T. Carr reveals, is when I search it up on Twitter. Oh, I can just go right to his name. He says here, give the fans what they want. JL2/3, restore the
I never
Snyderverse.
put any of that stuff in. Listeners, I just want to put that out there because I don't want to speculate on that. I just want to talk about how cool.
No. Like
I think that is.
it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sorry, guys, it's just not going to happen.
No, I'm in your camp there. I'm not. Trust me.
The look shows that we can have a Green Lantern on screen in live action.
Yeah,
That's what it shows.
It's very frustrating because they made him take this out because of their plans for Green Lantern, and there's been a year, and I don't. That's my point. Like,
what's the last update on that Green Lantern Corps show?
And honestly, Clay, when we think about it, in reality, would that, instead of Martian Manhunter at the end and it was Green Lantern, would that really have affected anybody going into Green Lantern Corps Corps show that's coming out in another year? I still don't know
we've talked about
that.
this. It wouldn't have. And
They
even
just
on
did
the
that
game
to be
here,
hella petty.
he says maybe should have used this instead of the unnecessary Martian Manhunter.
That's what he wanted to do all the game, but essentially he did that, and then they said, no, you can't do that, and he didn't want to take a person of color out when I put another one back in, and I think that it doesn't work as well. It would work so much better if it was Jon Stewart. It's just a frustrating thing, but that's just being hella petty when you already say, like, we're not doing anything with this beside this movie. I love the honeycomb feature because it kind of reminds me of the Mother boxes too. The way that the portals spread out
on his actual suit,
suit. So like you said, it's just a cool looking suit. I would love to see the scene because obviously it's shot and put in the movie at some point. I don't think that would hurt. It wouldn't make me go like or anything. I just think it would be cool. What really sucks for me is the actors. The same thing with Ray Fisher. I just hate to see, like, you had this opportunity to have this role and it gets taken away. But I just really enjoyed the picture. Just wanted to put it up there and just give a shout out to the year. Since I watched a movie that I was told was like, I was an idiot for thinking that I could ever watch that. So just wanted to throw that little shout out and that picture. But let's get into
let's go ahead and get into the listener questions. Yes, exactly. So very first question is from Brent. He asks, what are you most looking forward to with Super Pets? Brent, I love this question because the one thing that I am looking forward to is its failure. I cannot wait for freaking Kevin Hart to have his one last Pets cartoon animated movie to finally kill his career. This man is so annoying in Hollywood. And like, that's what I'm really looking forward to, finally getting the one man that is an embarrassment to Hollywood out of Hollywood. That's what I think. That's what I'm most excited for.
I probably would adjust the excitement and expectations because I don't think this movie is going to end his career.
I hope so.
Cross your fingers. Wishbones. You got wish chips. You got 1111. Start putting a log, making your wishes now because you'll need a bit because he makes a lot of money for a lot of people.
He makes a lot of money off the coattails of everybody else. Like, that's the thing. He's never made a big movie. Like, he's always made a big movie with somebody else that's bigger than he is.
I don't have an answer to that because you're not wrong. Every movie
true.
I'm thinking of is with The Rock or with The Rock or with The Rock.
The Rock, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I do think he's funny, but Brent also asked, like, in our GUA chat who was going to cover it, and I can promise you that Superhero Discussions will not be covering that movie.
Yeah, because
I'm not the target audience,
Snell
but
Snell even said, "How hard did Hines fight?" So superhero discussions could review Super Pets. Yeah, it's if anybody would like to come on to DC Alliance, I guess, anybody from the GUA, and review that, y'all definitely can. We will pitch it to, of course, that of Slice of Film and A Walk Through the Multiverse. If you guys want to take that movie, you can definitely do so. I know that Joe is probably going to be seeing it with his family. Katie, I'm not entirely sure if you're interested, but if you want to, you can totally take it.
maybe
We
we'll
are,
interview Joe. Maybe we'll interview Joe if he watches the film with his kids.
yeah, we can say, hey, did you like it, and why was it bad? You know,
Why did Kevin Hart suck?
exactly. Exactly.
Like,
So we
perfect.
we already answered Snell's questions. So the next one up is S Bubs, of course, our all around GUA fact checker. He was not able to join us live today, so he asks, based on these set photos we've seen of flashbacks with Keaton and J.K. Simmons as Gordon, how much of Batgirl do you think will be dedicated to showing the new history of the DCEU post The Flash? I think that it's definitely going to set the groundwork for, like, hey, look how much things have changed. Um, for sure. As far as the DCEU as a whole, that's why we have the other films. That's why we're going to have Blue Beetle. That's why we're going to have, the next upcoming slate, whatever the hell it's going to be after Batgirl.
That's what worries me, Clay. First of all, S-Bubs, shout out to you. You're basically where on earth is Carmen Sandy S-Bubs? I had to. I couldn't help it. But no, honestly, I, it worries me, Clay, because I don't want them to devote too much time to the to telling all that. I want them to focus on Barbara, Batgirl, like her home life and that. I don't want to devote too much time. Give us some stuff, give us some cool Easter eggs and some posters and some TV stuff, but please make the majority of this focused on her and her story. And you give us the other stuff, like you said, in other films. Like, give me most of the Batgirl stuff.
Oh, well, I think that this is a moment to give Batgirl a good spotlight for sure. But I
Yes.
do think that they are going to use not a good chunk, but they will use a segment of this film to basically. I honestly think the flashbacks that we're going to be seeing are still going to be set in the eyes of Batgirl. I think it's going to revolve around her, and Keaton will be a part of it. Also, I just want to acknowledge All on the Game's comment here. The Rock's non-Heart movies aren't successful as you think they are. Outside of the Fast and Furious and his Heart co-led movies, his other movies aren't that financially successful. Oh, I understand. I totally understand. But the difference between Heart and The Rock goes quantity over quality. He will pump out movies so that way he's getting paid by like 10 freaking studios. Kevin doesn't have that option because he's such a bad actor. He's just like he is the one like at the corner of the street saying, "Hey, can I have a job? Hey, can I have a job? Hey, can I have a job?" So
No, I don't know about that with his comedy, but like you said, The Rock also came from a different whole industry. Actually, Kim Hart did too, but The Rock, I think you're maybe saying domestic on the game. The Rock has a lot of worldwide success as well. So while you might think something like San Andreas wasn't that successful, I think it was close to 500 million when you bring in the worldwide stuff, because people in other countries actually, when you look at Rock, he actually looks like a superhero. So uh, I I can, I don't want to throw too much shade at Kevin Hart, but I don't think he's in the same universe as The Rock.
no, not at all.
No.
S Bub's second question says, "Do you think anyone besides Barry will remember the events of the old DCEU, or do you think maybe even Barry might not remember? Probably won't be able to listen live, like you said." I think that this is a hard one. I didn't necessarily read that all the way through
Let me
because
take
I
it because
yeah. You go ahead. You
I'll
ahead.
jump
Give your
first.
thoughts. You
Because S Bubs, I think you should check out, because from the sounds of this, I think you might not have watched the new 52 DC animated universe that we got that started with, well, officially started with Flashpoint Paradox, but started with Justice League War and culminated in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. By the end of that film, the Flash has to go back in time. Spoiler alert, again, and we're still, after getting a few new movies in the animated side since that movie, we still don't know if it's even connected. But in terms of the first Flashpoint, he was the only one that remembered until he was having dreams of it, he mentioned, and only John Constantine was able to unlock them and show that he, through magic, that he could see that the Flash went back in time and changed the universe, and it was on him. So I think a magic person like Dr. Fate or John Constantine would be able to know eventually if he changed timeline. I think right now, I don't even think the Flash will know. I think he will like have dreams or bits and pieces. I think they'll do that just in case you want to get that one day big crisis event where you bring everybody back in from all the different
Now that I'm
things.
thinking about it, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think they're gonna just act, hey, this is a new timeline, let's move forward. Um, and then when it's convenient to them, they'll start to act like, oh, Flash, remember this? And then
Well,
they'll
that's
play
the
it
thing
out.
about that too, Clay, is that he doesn't mention from Flashpoint. He doesn't mention anything about Flashpoint until Justice League Apocalypse War, just before, like, what in the first scene when they're all gathering, Superman calls everybody in to talk
Yeah.
about Darkseid. He mentions then, like, I've been having dreams about Flashpoint, about the world ending, and that's the only time he mentions it from that to that. So that's, I like you said, I don't want that. I want, like, if you're going to do it, at least like wait a little bit, but don't wait that long and then just throw it in and go right away from that. Give me a him dreaming about it at least like a couple years into the DCU if you're going to plan on grabbing that seed, like planting that seed and harvesting it down the line. But like I said, they could do that in a matter of a snap of fingers. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Charlie has a question too, I think, to end off.
Charlie will have the last question here. So he asks, let's see if I can, where did it go? I
I
lost it.
got it right here. If
Oh,
you could
it was
make,
the buddy cop movie,
yeah,
right?
if you could
Okay.
make a buddy cop HBO Max series with any two characters in the DC universe, who would it be? I would want to see a Jaime Reyes and Kyle Rayner show. Maybe them hunting down some unregistered reach technology that somehow fell into the hands of different civilizations.
I wouldn't mind that,
That's a pretty good
because I
choice.
mean, you get two Latino characters going together in space. I'm okay with that. Honestly, if I had to do a buddy cop movie, um, the only problem with that, whenever I hear buddy cop, I always think of course, the very classic Lethal Weapon. One very serious, one kind of crazed out, and you can always play with that kind of
Turner and
characteristic of like,
Hooch.
yeah, exactly. You can kind of just mess around with, the different personalities of it all. So I would kind of want like the stone wall and like the like kind of comedic relief go getter type of scenario. Um, it's easy for me. It's always going to be my go-to. I'm always going to choose Batman and Green Arrow.
Ooh, that's not a bad option either.
The only reason why is I love the way they banter back and forth. They like act like they hate each other, but they know exactly how to work together. Um, of course, you have Green Arrow being the smart mouth, the comedic relief, the person that's not so edgy compared to Batman. And then you have Batman, who is the one that's serious, the hardcore detective and things like that. So I would do either Green Arrow and Batman, or I would do a let's try to do one not Batman related.
I
I
have
would
three.
do You have three? Holy crap. Okay. So Batman, Green Arrow. Then I would do a let's do Flash and who would I do? Flash, and shit, this is harder than I expected. I can't think of any. You know
I
what?
got this.
I think you go ahead and go. Let me think about this.
I would do from the CW, Flash and Arrow. I think
The
that would be
brave and the bold.
good buddy cop. I would do The Question and John Stewart Green Lantern. I think that could be a really interesting pairing. And my Turner and Hooch nod, Jimmy Olsen and Crypto.
Oh God.
Yeah, you looked at me when I said Turner and Hooch. I said, I don't think you realize I'm talking about a guy and his dog. Apparently.
No. I
Okay.
know who it is. Yeah. But like, I don't know. Like there was a mini series, or I think actually it was a maxi series recently, back in like either 2019 or 2020, with Jimmy Olsen, that just rubbed me the wrong way, and I've never been able to look at the character the same. I would do, but I kind of like the idea of a non superhero team up.
Yeah.
So I would do.
Well, Crypto got superpowers, but he's not like it would be more as Jimmy Olsen getting himself into trouble and Crypto coming in to save the day kind of deal.
Yeah.
When people aren't expecting that.
I would not mind a. Let's see here. There's not a. Oh, you know what? Damn it! That is a Batman character too. See, the problem is there's just not enough.
Problem is you love the Batman character so much.
No, there's not enough. There's not enough non superhero characters that are outside of the Bat family. That's the problem. Because I wouldn't mind a Lois Lane team up, but who she would team up with?
Speedy and Aqualad.
Well, I was kind of thinking Titans team up, and I was thinking Flash and Nightwing, but then you have the Bat family character, you know?
Yeah.
So,
although I would argue that Nightwing sometimes could like separates himself so much from that world.
but he got started in the Bat verse.
Yeah, I know.
So,
you're right.
so you know what? There's actually a really odd team up coming up in comics in the next month or two. Aquaman and the Flash. That's a weird team up, but I wouldn't mind it. You know, Charlie even says Jimmy Olsen, Crypto for the win.
Thank you, Charlie.
Let's see. For my last one,
I'm thinking of it like Brave and the Bold type kind of like style, like the animated show type deal, kind of like that.
I would do. You know what? How about this? Let's do Donna Troy and Supergirl.
That's not a bad one. I was thinking
wouldn't
Black
mind that.
Canary and Huntress, but I think they could be.
They're
both of them.
birds of prey, so they
Yeah.
always team up. So that wouldn't, yes, you
Yeah.
could, but it's a team up that's already happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. We actually got through this pretty early because we started early. But Heinz, where can the lovely listeners find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. I also host superhero discussions on the network. Young Justice is back in another week. So, yay for that.
You know what? I've always wanted to ask, because I don't think I've asked before. What's the 156?
It was the only numbers I could get back when, oh my God, this was like 2001 maybe? So I just kept it for things. And I've had Twitter. I had Twitter for like 12 years, but I've had Twitter for 12 years. I used it to find out hockey trades for the first like 5.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's just random. You're just like,
random.
Yeah.
I tried to put in my name and they suggested 156. So I just threw that out for 2 things.
you took the suggested name. That's hilarious.
It was like 14, dude, and didn't really know. I didn't even really understand what was going on.
Oh, that's
email
great.
address? Okay.
That's great. Of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. You go into the bio of that Twitter account. You find the link tree. You can find the links to all of the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course, Star Wars Alliance. Thank you guys so much for lasting this long. And remember, will we be back for this week? I don't know if Superman and Lois is back this week. I
will tell you in 2 seconds.
I actually have not seen anything like really advertised that they have returned. I know they took at least one break.
They are back. Yeah, we are back.
All right, so we will be back. This is the we probably well we not probably we will have to take a hiatus, not this week but next week, because of course the guys over at Marvel Alliance, they just had to get their Moon Knight on a Wednesday, so they're going to be covering all of that Wednesday night. So look forward to that over there at Marvel Alliance. But we will be back on Wednesday to be talking Superman and Lois. See you guys later.
Don't look for me anywhere near that Morbius review, guys. Later.